All right, good morning, everybody. Was that Jesus? Seriously, that was on delay. That's strange. This is going to be a long meeting if we have that 10-second delay the entire day. Is there? First couple times it happened, you guys looked at me like I was crazy, and I think we finally got it there.
This is actually purposeful delay because we were worried about Ryan dropping an F-bomb.
It's like Jamal Murray's post-game interview last night, live on TNT. We good? Thanks, Ryan. All right, we do not have our anthem singer this morning, and I'm going to save you guys the pain of me singing that for you. So if everybody would please stand and join me in saying our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Bethany, do you want to go ahead and start us off with roll call?
All right, good morning. Kelly Pressler, 5280 League. Richard Hargrove, Arkansas Valley. Sammy Swenes, Black Forest. Nathan Trice, Black Forest. Rob Johnson, Cada. Leroy Lopez, Cada. Matt Heckel, Cada. T. Lee Hempel, Casby. Curtis Holland, Casby. Travis Ayers, Casby. Will Jones, Casby. Katie Harms, Casby. Diana Chrisman, Casa. Wendy Bernhansel, Casa. Larry Bowles, Centennial. Vince Orlando, Centennial. Wes Smock, Centennial. Ryan Weidman, Colorado. Casey Powell, City League. Rob Harrison, City League. Kevin Benji, City League. Bob Bentley, CSML North. Andy Parks, Colorado Springs Metro 5A. John Shube, Colorado Springs Metro 5A. Matt Wilson, CSML South. Kurt Slaughter, Confluence. Mike Perez, Confluence. Tom Brisky, Continental. Jill Schrader, Continental. Josh Stevenson, Continental. Daryl Abeda, Fishers Peak. Sean DePaula, Foothills. Eric Gustafson, Front Range. Dave Walk, Front Range. Tyler Zappia, Front Range. Rick Jacoby, Frontier. Nick Troop, Frontier. Manuel Gonzalez, High Plains. Greg Jones, Intermountain. Patrick Simpson, Jeffco. Chris Ensminger, Jeffco. Mike Hughes, Jeffco. Jeff Collins, Longs Peak. Lindsay Yost, Longs Peak. Ty Gordon, Longs Peak. Chris Roth, Lower Platte. Scott Dilley, Lower Platte. John Hill, Metro. Ellie Kempf, Metro. Colleen Ford, Mile High. Jeff Schusler, Mile High. Steve McCracken, North Central. Sean Skribick, NCAC. Pete Scheck, NCAC. Eric Johnson, NCAC. Patriot, Ryan Wehrman. Travis Steiner, Patriot. Nick Baker, Pikes Peak. Chris Murray, San Juan. Mark Lowther, Santa Fe. Matthew Addington, Santa Fe. James V. Hill, South Central. Matt Lucero, Southern Peaks. Corey Rivas, Southern Peaks. Steve Wojtek, Southwestern. Chris Medina, Tri-Peaks. Mike Pruzanowski, Tri-Peaks. Jeremy Kearns, Union Pacific. Zach Bissell, West Central. Clark Kindler, Western Slope. Jeremy McCormick, Western Slope. Greg Hawkins, Western Slope. Danielle Campbell, Western Slope. Connor Fiskus, YWKC. Thank you.
This time I'd like to have Marty Benham, our parliamentarian, come up and just go through a few reminders about procedure.
Good morning. Good morning. It's nice to see all of you. We're excited to accomplish a lot today. A few reminders. A league may not second its own motion. No member shall speak more than once to the same question without leave of the legislative council unless he or she is the mover, proposer, or introducer of the matter. And no member shall speak more than a total of 5 minutes on any question. Please also remember that constitutional, administrative, athletic, and activity proposals come in the form of a motion and only require a second. And that while reports can be amended, they require a 2/3 vote of the majority voting unless they were previously submitted. So thank you, and looking forward to a great session today. Thank you.
All righty, let's go ahead and get started. I want to welcome everybody back for our second Legislative Council meeting of the 2024 calendar year. That's our second year of having 2 Legislative Council meetings, and so far so good. I think it's like I said in January, I think it's a great opportunity to act more rapidly and have discussion and be able to not have to wait to the one annual meeting in order to pass policy and procedure that's in the benefit of our member schools and all of our participants in student athletics and student activities. I want to start with a couple of thank yous. First of all, as always, Kathy Lenz is around here somewhere, and she always just does such an amazing job getting all the information out, communicating everything. You guys should have all received a packet from her with all the voting procedures and the agenda and detailed descriptions of all of the amendments and proposals that are up for today. So Kathy, again, as always, thank you so much for everything that you do. And just all the CHSAA staff, you know, we coming off a very successful winter season. The attendance down at state basketball at the various venues, the state wrestling tournament at Ball Arena is always such a just a special event. And I can speak to that sport in particular. As a principal of a small high school, I'm the principal at Inglewood High School, right around 500 kids. We had our first state champion wrestler in 15 years. From a school and from a community that's just been kind of really beat up recently. And just to have that one kid have that one successful moment and to see how it just galvanized the community and brought everybody together and lifted everybody's spirits, and just how many different communities get to experience that through that state wrestling tournament is just fantastic. And I think a lot of those individual sports have that effect. Just something special about that event, though. But girls swimming, skiing, hockey, just very successful winter sports season. So congratulations to the entire CHSAA staff on that, and to a great kickoff to the spring season. I was going to say we've had a really mild weather so far for spring until last weekend. Felt bad for Dakota Ridge. They lost their track meet for the second year in a row on the same weekend because snowstorm, and I know there's other schools that are in that same situation. So, but so far, a great start to the sports season. And again, thank you to Mike for all of your leadership. I had a chance to go over Mike's annual evaluation with the board of directors last week, and just what Mike's done in terms of teamwork, in terms of leadership, in terms of communication, has just really elevated the work of CHSAA and all of our member schools, and really had a positive impact. So Mike, thank you for everything that you do. Kate, I want to thank you guys again for organizing the outreach last week to talk through some of the proposals, and wish you the best of luck on the conference coming up this weekend in Breckenridge. That just always seems to sneak up on us every year that weekend. And I want to thank all of you again, all the leadership or the legislative council members in attendance. Your role is so important. Your role is so important to what you do in terms of establishing bylaws and rules for the association, and all the due diligence that you put into preparing and being very thoughtful about all of the presentations, the proposals that are going to be out there today. Thank you guys for everything you do. And then finally, and we'll get on with this, I don't know if Derek Cheney's here or not. I know Brad Wilkes is here from Douglas County. I want to thank both of you guys as well as the entire Douglas County School District. This venue has almost become a second home now for CHSAA, and it's just so nice to be able to have such an awesome facility for meetings such as this, the Hall of Fame banquet, the all-school summit, to be able to do it without an expense of having to rent out an expensive hotel ballroom or something like that. It's nice to have this facility, and just a shout out to this facility from someone whose daughter benefits from the programming that goes on here. You know, this is a new CTE facility here in Douglas County, and several districts, Denver and Aurora and Jeffco, have been doing CTE programming at a center school forever. Cherry Creek came online several years back with the CCIC, several BOCES, but just as every community is ready for something like this, to see this opportunity for kids is just amazing. So Derek and Brad and everybody from Douglas County, thank you guys so much for sharing your facility with us. And with that, we are going to go ahead and dive in. I thought it'd be fun to start with an icebreaker today with a short little video. That one would be worth repeating. That would be amazing. So when I saw that video, I noticed a lot of people were a little groggy walking in this morning. If you're like me, stayed up until 11:30 last night watching that game. It was just unbelievable. And then I was listening to sports radio this morning. It's funny, the irony that sport creates. I want to take you back 4 years ago. Year's 2020. You have two teams playing in the playoffs. This is in the bubble now. This is after COVID. We have two teams playing in the playoffs. One team has the best player in the world. It's game 2 of a playoff series. The other team had been dominating the entire game. And the second best player on the team with the best player in the world hits a buzzer-beating shot to win the game. Anybody tell me what I'm thinking of? When the Lakers beat the Nuggets 4 years ago in the bubble. LeBron James was the best player in the world. Anthony Davis made the buzzer-beating shot and essentially ended that series. From there on, they went on to beat the Nuggets and went on to win the world championship that year. And then you fast forward to last night, same thing. Now the Nuggets have the best player in the world. Their second best player makes the game-winning shot. And the guy that made the game-winning shot 4 years ago ended up sitting on the Nuggets bench right in front of where all the Nuggets were celebrating. It's kind of beautiful, poetic justice, but just the power of sport and the power of how that one moment in time can bring everybody together just makes everything that we do around student athletics activities just so special, just how that one moment in time can just bring so many people together. So we're going to go ahead and get started today. I'm going to have Ryan come up here real quick. He's going to walk us through the voting procedure, and then we'll turn it over to Mike for his remarks.
Good morning. You should have received voting instructions from Kathy Lenz. We just need to have you put in your voter information. It's into menti.com. If you need help, I can come help. And we should have 71 voters. So once we have that, we can move on to the test vote, which is next.
about 4 more to go here until we can, 2. And please don't hesitate to ask if you need some assistance. Okay. We'll go ahead and, Ryan, you want to run the test vote? This is probably the only close vote we're going to have today, so. Still need a few of you to vote. Make sure we get everybody registered. Say again? Okay, so did everybody vote? Okay. Huh? Okay, make sure that you're voting. If you have questions, please raise your hand, and we want to make sure that we get your votes registered today. So, good morning and welcome to the April Legislative Council. Happy Tuesday. As Ryan mentioned, thanks for showing the Jamal Murray clip. It was pretty exciting last night. Honestly, I woke up this morning 6:26 a.m. with a text from Paul Kane, who said, I was at the game last night, man, and I was excited for him. And then I saw him down in the lobby before I came over here, and he was still excited, high-fiving and stuff. And then, as many of you know, I spent a lot of time in college when Paul and I were together. Paul was playing, I was student assistant coaching, and Paul immediately went into reminding me of the number of buzzer beaters that he had during his playing career, and I then reminded Paul that he wasn't being guarded by Anthony Davis. So, but you're pretty awesome, PC. Good morning, and Ryan did a great job of, Ryan did a really great job of, definitely recognizing the folks that we need to recognize and make sure that we send special thank yous to. And I also want to express my sincere gratitude to Derek and the group at DCSD Legacy Campus. Just phenomenal team and phenomenal folks that really help us throughout all of the many events that we have. But it's just such a pleasure to be here, and your staff is top notch. So thank you so much for everything. Also, as Ryan did, I want to recognize and thank Jason Wilkins and the CADA group. Just the great work that organization continues to do. Just super inspired by the work that they're doing, and I think it'll be evidenced by some of the things that you see us doing as a staff in the coming year when we get to some of our strategic priorities. But Jason and the CADA staff, I can tell you, I just feel like our relationship is so strong, and we continue to support the great work that you're doing. So thank you for everything that you do. I personally want to thank the CHSAA staff. All of them are here. Some of them you saw out front, they're checking in, but it's just honestly a privilege to get to work with this team every single day. The servant leaders that are just so passionate and so caring, empathetic, and work so hard. So it's really an honor and a blessing every day to show up and get to hang out with folks that just truly are as dedicated as they are. So it's to all of you. And again, I also want to thank Kathy for all the work that she does. She holds the whole thing together for me, and I'm really grateful for that. I also want to take a minute and recognize and thank not just my colleague, but my friend, Alex Halpern. Alex continues to be just such an amazing colleague, amazing mentor, somebody that I can call and lean on with a lot of questions, and he's always there, always available, and always has an incredibly kind and empathetic listening ear, and it means the world to me to have your friendship and your collegiality, so thank you so much. And Alex was in attendance with Bethany and I last week in Indianapolis when we were at the legal meetings, and that is an incredible comfort to have him sitting there as they're talking about all the ways that states are struggling with challenges, and to know that we have one of the best in the business in our state is really a comfort. So, And then lastly, I want to recognize and thank the Board of Directors and especially Ryan West for their leadership, their guidance, the alignment that we feel with what the staff is doing, what the board's desires are. And as I continue to say, you know, our membership is truly, as a membership-driven organization, it's made up of three very specific but crucial legs. And, you know, it's our committee structure, it's our legislative council, and it's our board of directors. That is our guiding principle, that set our guiding principles, that help set our vision. And to get to serve a board of such caring leaders, folks that really are committed to making sure that we promote the best of what our organization stands for is just an incredible opportunity. It's an incredible honor. So board, thank you, and Ryan, thank you for your leadership and everything that you do. Just real quickly, and I say that because Ryan brought up my evaluation, and we had a really good conversation, and Ryan reminded me that area of focus might be to be more concise. And I said I would definitely try to work on that, so he's got the hook ready. But I definitely wanted to share with you some of our strategic priorities as we look forward to 24-25. A couple, all of them I'm very excited to share with you, but a couple in particular that I'm really excited to share. So first of all, I just want to thank, again, this membership, the staff. We had a lot of accomplishments in this school year. We still have a few to go as we wrap up the spring sports season. But to be honest with you, just an incredible number of accomplishments as we look back at our strategic priorities for this year and as we continue into next year. But we will continue with our efforts toward diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, things that we will build upon, such as the Women in Leadership Summit that Bethany and Jen have done such an amazing job with, our BIPOC Leadership Network that Rashawn leads for us, and making sure that we're reaching all of our leaders across the state of Colorado. The partnership we have with Special Olympics Colorado and our unified programs is just an incredible strength of our organization as we look to meet the needs and involvement of our students with intellectual disabilities. You know, we're super proud of the work that Jen does in leading those efforts. We're looking to expand those efforts in the coming year. We're working very closely with Colorado Special Olympics on a number of initiatives. The possibility of looking to expand unified esports, which are already happening in our schools, but allowing our state to recognize those efforts. And then also involving the voice of our students. I really want to recognize Rashawn Davis and the work he does here, leading our student leadership group, but he's such an advocate for making sure that we always hear the voice of the student. And I think as in the coming years, as we continue to embrace that, the importance of that, we're here today to serve that constituency. That's the group that we're serving when we show up every day to our office, and to make sure that we're listening, we're hearing what those voices say and what those students have to say. That's an effort that we will look to expand upon in the coming year. Today, we were scheduled to hear, and that'll be a standing agenda item moving forward for our legislative council, and that is to hear a student leadership update. We're fully committed to making sure that we're hearing the voice of those that we serve. And so on our committees within our organization, we really encourage you to, at the school level as well, make sure that the voice of the student is being heard in the important decisions that we make. So really excited about that. We will continue our efforts, strategic priority for communication and connection. Some great strides that we made this year. You know, the CHSAA newsletter we're very excited about. Coffee with the commish has been something that we really have enjoyed, and it's been a great opportunity to connect with you on a monthly basis in that virtual format. And for those of you that can't make the live talking or the live discussion, reaching out and asking for that recording and making sure that it's good information that we can share with you. Just a way to make sure that we're communicating on the important topics that are around our state. And then, of course, our revamped website. I want to thank Ryan and Amanda and Zach for the great work that you've done on that. Our website is not only user-friendly, but it helps tell the CHSAA story. And they've just done phenomenal work with that. So we will continue those efforts. Another effort we look forward to in 24-25 and a new initiative on communication and connection. Next year, we'll host our first ever small and rural school summit. We're excited about that, to meet with our small and rural school leaders and talk to them and make sure that we're hearing and learning from all parts of our state, which I think we are doing a great job, but just to have a focused time when we can meet with those leaders. We're really looking forward to that. As we move into coaches education and training, we will continue that work, and I want to thank John Sullivan with his efforts in this front. He's just done amazing work. We've accomplished some great initiatives, such as rewriting and having a coaches-only CHSAA test that'll be implemented this coming year. Concussion course options for coaches to make that more efficient and make sure they're still getting the training that's required by our organization and the state. The new first-year coaches course that John's been working on with a number of folks to provide a real beneficial course for those that are entering the profession for the first time, and other incentives that might go with that. And then next year, along with our Sports Medicine Advisory Committee and Project Play, which is being reintroduced in Colorado, we're excited to join the National ACL Injury Prevention Coalition as one of the leaders in the country, one of 3 states in the country that will focus on efforts and educational resources for coaches to help address ACL injuries in our female athletes, which has been an ongoing problem. So I want to thank Jen for her work as we get that kind of kicked off and start to look at how we can help with the health and wellness of our female athletes relative to ACL injuries. We will continue to focus our efforts on sporting behavior and game management. As you know, that's been a focus for us. We will continue to build upon some of the work we did this year with resource evaluation and membership feedback on what it is that you need relative to this area. We've joined with PCA Colorado and the relaunch of the Inside Out Coaching Initiative to help with those efforts to provide professional development, again, to coaches, but around sporting behavior and why we coach, and supports that you might need as a membership for parent meetings and resources around game management. We'll continue those efforts. In next year, we'll be hosting a Sporting Behavior Summit that we're really looking forward to. Rashawn will lead that, and I want to recognize also, just most recently, Bethany and Rashawn joining our sportsmanship and equity committees together to look at how we can build upon each other in those in that committee structure, and provide supports to you and the membership around that. And then lastly, support. We're adding a new strategic initiative for our membership, for our staff, and that initiative is going to stem around support for the athletic and activities directors in our state. We realize that it's a very challenging job. There's a lot on your plate. Every time we continue to grow as a state, as we continue to add schools, as we continue to add programs, the demands on your time continue to grow. The requirements of things that you're required to do are certainly growing. They're not adding time to your clock, and I don't know many of you that they're adding a lot to the zeros at the end of your paycheck, but you continue to be committed and passionate about providing opportunities for kids. So our staff, along with our board, will be working on a new initiative centered around support for our athletic and activity administrators in the state of Colorado. 3 specific initiatives will kick that off for us next year that we look to tackle, and one of those is an AD mentor program to complement the work that CHSAA doing, to complement the work that Jen is doing with CHSAA on New AD Connects, but we will introduce a new program that will be funded somehow through CHSAA, or hopefully with the CHSAA Foundation support, but that is to provide mentorship to new athletic directors, first and second year ADs, to have a specific mentor that exists out of our office, that can be a direct line, that can provide immediate mentorship to all of the struggles that new ADs might have. I think it's time for us. We've borrowed this program from a very successful model that's been incorporated in Michigan. And talking to their executive director, he said it's the best thing they've done in 20 years to support athletic directors and activities directors. It's intended to help provide direct mentorship to them, to help them grow. On using his comments, that really struck me. It's that we've talked so long about the turnover crisis and the demands on our ADs, and how do we address that? And his words were that it was finally time to try to do something different and step up and try a new approach. And they've had great success with it. We look forward to adopting that here in Colorado, working it into how we can best support new athletic directors, first and second year ADs, and throughout the state of Colorado. Secondly, we're working on expanding abuse prevention resources for our coaches in schools. I want to thank Harry Waterman and the work he's done in Boulder, but also in the support that he's given, the discussions we've had about the need to make sure that you have supports for your coaches around abuse prevention, sexual abuse prevention, what coaches need to know. No mandates and no requirements, but resources that we can make sure that coaches are educated. They know what it means to be a mandatory reporter. They know what to look for. They know how to support their student athletes. It's obviously something that we need to do as caretakers of our students, and so we'll be working to provide and expand those resources. And then lastly is an initiative to help support athletic and activities directors, working with Michael Book and the great work he's been doing with our officials and Ryan Casey. We will be developing an officials accountability and professional growth reporting system for athletic directors and for principals in our state. So high school athletic directors and principals will have a way to report back to us when they have concerns about an official that may need professional growth in an area, or if there were protocols that official could have handled better. We are looking at this, be very upfront with you, we're looking at it as a professional growth opportunity. It's a system that we can use to help those young officials grow, or even those veteran officials grow, but it'll allow us to track officials that may have more than one or two or whatever ejections, so that we can identify those officials, reach out and assist them, and find out how we can best assist them in their growth, and whether or not being a high school official is right for them in some instances. So it will be a direct accountability program working with officials associations. It will not be open to the public. It will not be open to coaches. This will be something that comes directly from athletic and activities directors as well as principals. It'll be confidential and it will be submitted to us, but it will allow us to track data to support you and your chair when we have officials that aren't meeting the standards that we've established and the officials associations themselves have established. So we're looking forward to launching that in the fall and giving you that opportunity to make sure that we are holding our officials accountable, but more importantly, we're helping them grow. So those are some of the initiatives that we're excited about coming up in 24-25. Again, I want to thank the CHSAA staff and for all the work that you're doing, and I wish you very much the best of success today as we in your deliberations on some very important topics in front of you today. So thank you.
All right, before we move forward, we need to take 2 steps back, kind of Paula Abdul right there. We need to go back to item 1.1 at the beginning of the agenda and vote to approve the minutes from our prior legislative council meeting. That should have been our first agenda item. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the last meeting. Motion? John, and thank you for that reminder too. When you do go to motion or to second, if you would raise up your name placard and say your name, that helps us up here as far as taking minutes and things like that. So John, thank you very much. Do I have a second? Kevin Benji, City League. Are we doing this yay and nay, or are we doing by machine? All right, so go ahead. Let's another chance to test out the voting system. Let's go ahead and place your vote for the, well, first of all, is there any discussion? All right, hearing none, let's vote. If everybody could make sure and vote, that way we know we should get to 71 here. We're having a technical question over here. Missing 5. Is anybody else having trouble placing a vote? Still 1 vote outstanding in addition to the one we're working on. 70. There's still one outstanding. All right, we're going to go ahead and approve that by a vote of 70-0. At this time, I'd like to recognize Bryce Davis to give us an update on student leadership.
Bryce is the chair of our student leadership advisory council that Rashawn oversees for the state. And Bryce was going to give an update today, but Bryce is also being recognized today in District 51 at the Superintendent Scholars Luncheon. So Bryce said, should I come to CHSAA's Legislative Council or should I go to the Superintendent Scholar Luncheon? Without question, advised Bryce that he should go and be recognized for the great work that he's done as a student at Grand Junction Central High School. So it will be a standing agenda item for us moving forward in January and April. I also, though, before we turn this back over to Ryan, I do want to recognize all of the student leadership that will be graduating this year from that council under Rashawn's guidance and leadership. They do such amazing work. And we definitely want to recognize those students for their efforts and for what they've provided, again, lending their voice to the important work that we do. So on behalf of CHSAA, on behalf of our membership, Rashawn, if you would pass our thanks and our sincere gratitude to each one of those graduating seniors. And we look forward to the new group of leaders that will be coming on board to help us as we lay out a path for our organization. So thanks, Rashawn.
All right, this time we'll bring up Alex Halpern for our legal update.
Thanks, Ryan. Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you all here. So looking back at 23-24, we had a very peaceful year on the legal front, which is a good thing for everybody but me. It's actually been several years since we've had litigation involving claims related to, especially to student eligibility. And I think that's that must be reflective, because people haven't changed. That must be reflective of good work by the commissioner and staff. As Mike mentioned, he and Bethany and I recently attended the National Federation Attorneys and Commissioners meeting in Indianapolis, where it rained nonstop for 2.5 days. And that meeting involves the representatives from, at least they're invited, all 50 states. Hawaii didn't make it again, but Alaska made it. And it's always interesting to hear what is going on in other states, how people are doing it, and in some sense, how radically different they do things from the way that we do. They stopped asking me to present quite a while ago when they decided that Colorado wasn't actually very interesting for everybody else because we didn't have enough trouble. Interestingly, the main topic, and one that I think we can all look forward to in coming years, is really the transformation of intercollegiate athletics by the name, image, and likeness situation. There's a lot of money changing hands, and it has changed the picture of intercollegiate athletics. Now it doesn't directly affect us, although I think everybody can sort of feel like there's somebody else in the room now, even for interscholastics. And perhaps one of the first areas where we'll feel it is in student athletes trying to make a decision about what school to go to. And certainly for the highest quality student athletes, all of a sudden economic concerns become a significant factor that was not there by any stretch the way that it is now. There's NIL contracts are, for some athletes, are worth 6 figures, and that's a different world. One of the topics that did come up and is kind of on the cutting edge that affects or may affect us is the ability of schools to tell students that although the college is not going to be directly paying them to participate at that college, their associated collectives or local nonprofit organizations that provide a lot of money for student athletes, the students want to know, perhaps not surprisingly, well, how much am I going to get? And as of now, the colleges aren't permitted to tell them that, but there is a big push, sort of couched in First Amendment terms, to permit that to take place so that students can make an informed choice, and that is a direct way that it may impact you. Anyway, that is a topic that we'll be watching. There is activity in the transgender area, litigation. There was just a decision this month out of a Circuit Court of Appeals upholding eligibility for a transgender student in his selected gender. That was a 2-to-1 decision in that court. So those we'll see activity in that area. So those are some of the areas we're looking forward to. Challenges, I guess you could, in the future. I just want to close by saying, first, thank you for your kind words, Mike. And Mike is the 6th commissioner I've worked for. And it's been a pleasure. And I wish you all good luck on your very important decision-making today, and just want to reiterate how honored I am to represent you.
All right, Sarah Vernon Brunner is going to come up and give us our financial update.
Good morning. Sorry this won't be as exciting as Jamal Murray's game-winning shot, but bear with me while I get through it. So today, we want to share with you some updates. One, our financial recap through March and where we are through the year, and then our proposed budget for next year, and then you'll be voting on that. So diving into our financials so far for the year, we're sitting at a revenue of $5.3 million, expenses of $4.7 million, and a net income of almost $600,000. So the middle section in this chart is our budget. So you can see from the first chart, we are exceeding our projections, revenue-wise very close to last year, and expenses up as we were planning. Now looking at revenue through March, in January at the Legislative Council, I updated you on our financials through then. And it encompassed the fall season of sports and activities. So now we've concluded winter, and that's encompassed in here. So we have a revenue of $3.1 million for sports and activities, definitely exceeding where we were planning, mostly due to football and some good results at basketball. Corporate partnerships, another area where we're exceeding our revenue by about 100,000. And then programs and officials, we're pretty much right on track. And then miscellaneous income we've had from interest this year due to being able to put more money into our reserves after our results last year. So since 50 to 55% of our revenue comes from sports and activities, wanted to dive a little deeper into that. And since concluding winter, basketball, definitely a good result, but our ticket sales were down about 3% when you look at the total across all venues. You can definitely see here how winter has some of our biggest sports with basketball and wrestling and how they really contribute to the bottom line of CHSAA and really help support some of those sports that are non-revenue. Ice hockey had a great year, hit about 100,000 in revenue there, so up 26%. And then girls swimming, speech, right on track with what we were planning, and wrestling up about 2% in ticket sales. Now looking at expenses through March, sports and activities were at about 1.88 million versus 1.8 million, up about 350,000 from last year. And really what we're seeing is that expense-wise, it's really up across the board for all sports and activities. I'm sure you're seeing it as well, but venue costs, workers at the venues, security, we all experience a rise in our officials' costs. So we were able to plan for some of that. Other areas, like at the venues, we weren't able to plan for all of those increases. Personnel, right on track with budget, as well as committees, that's trending up a little bit because we have had some additional meetings in person, so some additional expenses there. And then miscellaneous, we invested in our compliance and our copyright there for music, so another additional expense. Going into our expenses more for sports and activities for winter, we had planned on, I touched on that, some of the increases, but not on all of them. Basketball, last year we had received a grant, which we didn't have this year, so that's why there's a large increase there. Ice hockey, we had some savings with our venues. Wrestling, a little bit of an increase at the expenses at Ball Arena, and then swimming and speech, right on track. So overall, our net income through March, almost 600,000, so very positive result. We now have the spring season to go. Historically not as strong financially for us, but we do anticipate ending the year on a strong note. All right, so now we're gonna shift gears and talk about next year's budget and projections. So I worked closely with Mike and our administrators to come up with this budget. It really reflects the roadmap for us next year. While there are a lot of similarities that we have year over year in our budgeting, this year there were also some additional initiatives we wanted to invest in, areas where we wanted to put some additional funding, really which focused around our strategic priorities. So now digging into the numbers, for 24-25, projecting a revenue of 6.5 million, expenses of 6.33 million, and a net income of 217,000. So as you can see, we plan to be up from last year, or last year's budget, but the projections are probably going to be similar to where we end up this year. Looking in more detail at revenue, the one big change next year is really reflective of what was voted on at the January Legislative Council with the change in tournament playoff finances. So now that schools are going to be keeping your playoff revenue, our sports and activity income has come down. So we took about $500,000 out of that. And then now there's the classification fee that you'll be paying in your membership dues invoice. So our membership fees went up. So those basically offset each other, but definitely a big change that we'll all see next year. Some highlights for sports, when we make changes in classifications, like there's an additional classification in boys volleyball. We're expecting state championships to grow a little bit. Football, 3A's moving to CSU Fort Collins, so we'll see some increase there. And then corporate partnerships, we're expecting to hit over about $1 million next year, new milestone for CHSAA, thanks to all the hard work of Jen and Kurt at TPG. Programs, pretty similar to last year, officials, and then miscellaneous, better projecting where we plan to end up with our interest. So if you look at our percentage of revenue, the red underlines some of the changes we're going to see. And again, as I mentioned, the big change is that sports and activities as a percentage of our revenue is going down from 53% to 46%. And then membership fees is going from 22% to 28% of our revenue. So change there. Now looking at our expenses for next year, again, the top row is our budget for next year. Sports and activities up about 5% from this year's budget, 10% from last year. Just as I said in my update a few minutes ago with our current financials, we're going to continue to see some expense increases at venues next year, so planning for that. Golf is one sport too, where we're adding a classification, so going to see some additional increase in expenses there under sports and activities. Wages and benefits, we are budgeting a small increase there. We also, our employee insurance went up, which I know a lot of you are experiencing at your districts, so planning on that. Operating expenses, up about 7% from this year. That's definitely an area that we keep evaluating to make sure there aren't changes we can make. We changed IT companies, auditing firms, so that we could have some cost savings there. So again, always trying to look at those expenses. And then committees and officials, very similar to last year. And programs. This is an area where we're increasing about 30% because we're continuing to invest in our strategic priorities, investing in sportsmanship, coaching education, the Women's Leadership Conference, as well as our website and communication tools. So despite some changes in our expenses overall, when you look at the different categories, no major changes there, pretty consistent year over year. So in summary, our projections next year, revenue of about $6.5 million, expenses of $6.33 million, and a net income of almost $217,000. So about 3% net margin, leaving us in a very strong place. While it is, lower than where we're planning to end this year, still feel that it's a very strong base for us. All right, thank you, and I'll leave you to voting.
Thank you very much, Sarah. So with that, we need a motion to vote to approve the 24-25 budget as presented. Thank you, Travis. Second? Thank you, Mike. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and vote. Still short two. Yours working now? All right, so that passes unanimously. Thank you. Before we get into our action items, we would like to do some recognition and hand out some awards. So I would invite Kurt DeZaman from TBG and Jen Roberts-Ulig to the podium at this time.
Right, good morning, everybody. Kurt DeZaman, TPG. I'm here to thank you guys all for being here, as well as being a part of CHSAA member schools and making things like what we're going to do today possible. I'm here to introduce some of our great partners that we work with on the corporate sponsorship side of things, starting with Russ Spicer from Johnstown Shields. He's the team coordinator, and he's here to recognize some outstanding student athletes on behalf of Shields and CHSAA. Russ Spicer.
All right, good morning, everybody. As Kurt just mentioned, my name is Russ Spicer, and I am the team sports coordinator for Johnstown Shields. Shields is proud to be a sponsor of CHSAA once again this year. I'm happy to be joined here today by my colleagues Scott Manchester and Bree Cruz from the Colorado Springs Shields as well. You'll hear from Scott a little bit later. We've been with CHSAA for 2 years now, and we've really enjoyed the partnership thus far and looking forward to more years of working together. And again, I just want you guys to know that, one, we appreciate everything that CHSAA does for high school athletics and activities in the state of Colorado, but I also want you to know that we truly appreciate everything that you guys do. I dabbled in athletic director, definitely was a principal for a number of years, so I understand what you guys do and what you go through, and you're worth your weight in gold for what you do for these kids in the sports program, so thank you very much. Shields is an amazing company to work for. It is the healthiest work environment that I've ever been associated with. They have some culture points that's expected from all of our employees, and I want to share those with you, which is where part of the foundation for this All-Star Scholarship Award comes from. The culture points are problem solving, being a team player, positive attitude, honesty and integrity, customer service, humility, striving for excellence, and working above and beyond to get the job done. Giving back to our community is a key part of the Shields DNA. Last year, Johnstown and Colorado Springs Shields gave donations to over 1,500 nonprofits and businesses, schools, sports clubs, and sports teams. We truly desire to be involved with our community. Looking for a way to give back to the community via our relationship with CHSAA, Shields committed to provide a $2,500 Shields All-Star Award scholarship to one male and one female who are nominated by their school leadership, teachers, coaches, as someone who demonstrates the culture points on a consistent basis. The students had to be involved in one or more CHSAA activities and were expected to fill out an application and answer several questions that related to what they have accomplished in the culture point areas. From those nominations, CHSAA helped narrow down the male and female applicants. Then the Colorado Springs and Johnstown Shields stores selected the eventual winners. I am happy to say, and it truly am happy to say this, it was an extremely difficult decision. We had some amazing candidates. All of the finalists were strong contenders. And now it's my pleasure to introduce this year's winners. Our male winner of the Shields All-Sport Award is Austin Elmas from Cheyenne Mountain High School. A few of the activities that stood out for Austin are he participated in the basketball and baseball teams, first chair flute for high school band. He had a strong commitment to academics and maintains an outstanding GPA, teaches fifth grade Sunday school and helps with vacation Bible school at his church, volunteers with Special Olympics, started his own landscaping service, which now maintains and services 15 lawns. Some of the highlights from Austin's essay include the best type of leadership is through actions, not words. When I am taking my last breaths, I want to know with all my heart that I made a positive impact on the world and lived life to the fullest. And volunteering with Special Olympics taught me that service can be more fulfilling than anything I can do for myself. Please join me in congratulating Austin on being one of this year's Shields All-Star Award winners. And now to introduce the female recipient. A lot of you know him already. He's the team sports coordinator at Colorado Swing Shields. My partner in crime. It's been great having him with us, and I know you guys felt the same when he was with you. Please help me in welcoming Scott Manchester.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Appreciate the work that you guys do. Hey, at this time, our female winner of the Shields All-Sport Award is Lauren Rayleigh from Cheyenne Mountain High School. Now, a few of the activities that stood out for Lauren we're going to mention here in a second, but let's go ahead and give her a round of applause and congratulate her. First thing, Lauren competed in cross country, currently competes in track and field for the 4th year, awarded the National Merit Letter of Commendation, leader in Fellowship of Christian Athletes, along with a National Charity League. And some of the highlights that really stood out from Lauren's essay include, she had mentioned, I look forward to doing my best both on and off the track, thus being a part of something bigger than myself. My character through challenges and my attitude towards setbacks determine who I am. And I have found that interactions with others to affect change is a daily choice. It is not always easy, but it's always worth it. Acknowledging people's value. In the multitude of events, including Special Olympics and the annual Alzheimer's Walk, the smiles and laughter on innumerable faces have affirmed to me that giving to others is far more rewarding than thinking of only myself. And whether connecting in a long-term relationship or merely for a moment, I choose to contribute to my community by being present in every action. Please join me again in congratulating Lauren Rayleigh and being one of this year's Shields All-Star winners. The last thing that we wanted to mention to you guys again, and ladies, we appreciate what you do. We understand the grind. And as Russ had mentioned, we had both been there. Retirement is good. And so you'll get there. But anyways, we understand that. Keep in mind with equipment needs, things like that, we want you to reach out, use us, give us a call. And again, we thank you for your work. Keep fighting the good fight.
All right, while they're grabbing some great candid photo shots of those winners, again, I want to thank Shields as a corporate partner. If you guys haven't visited those stores, I know we have a couple CHSAA people in the office that could live there for a weekend, so please make sure to visit those stores. And it really is important for these corporate partnerships for what we do and recognizing these student athletes. And it starts with everybody in this room and nominating those great student athletes or students or athletic trainers, whatever the case may be. If you guys don't know where those awards are kept on CHSAAnow.com, or you guys aren't receiving the emails with those award forms, please grab me, grab any commissioner or any of the CHSAA staff, and we will be happy to make sure you guys know where those reside, or make sure that you guys do get those emails to make sure we're recognizing all the students that deserve to be recognized. So let's give a round of applause one more time for these great athletes and Shields. The next corporate partner that we work with is one that's well known in the hospital and medical space, especially at the children's level. It's Children's Hospital of Colorado. And they recognize athletic trainers. Again, if you haven't heard of this award or you want to say, hey, how do we get involved? How do we get one of our athletic trainers in that pool? Please let us know. At this time, I want to introduce Ginny Van Meter, who is the Secondary School Associate Clinical Manager at Children's Hospital of Colorado. Please join me in welcoming her.
Thank you. I have the privilege and honor to introduce our team here of athletic trainers. We have Robert Lopez, my fellow Associate Clinical Manager who oversees our Jeffco District High Schools. And then Serena, She is an athletic trainer at Horizon High School and is also a preceptor to our technical, yes, Marty, thank you, to our technical sports medicine students. And then Megan Zoish, who is at Elizabeth High School, the athletic trainer there for going on 12 years now, and also running the preceptor for our PT resident as well as her student aides. And she is also the nominator of our award winner today. So I will hand it off to Robert.
Thank you. So we are honored to be here today and to present the annual Children's Hospital Colorado Outstanding Sports Medicine Student Aid Award. Through our partnership with CHSAA, we are working together to provide comprehensive world-class expertise on current health issues that our athletes experience every day, and work together to enhance sports safety with our athletes and coaches. We're excited to present this year's Outstanding Sports Medicine Student Award to recognize student athletic trainer aides who train alongside professional certified athletic trainers, coaches, and ADs. Now I'm going to pass it along to Serena.
We are honored to present this year's award to Megan Bankendorf, who is a senior at Elizabeth High School and was nominated by Megan Zesh, the athletic trainer at EHS. Megan has over 175 sports medicine volunteer hours. She maintains a 3.1 GPA. Megan remains involved in different sporting activities on top of her student athletic training role. Student council all 4 years of high school and is the senior class president. Participates in flight crew, which helps incoming students feel more comfortable in their transition to EHS. She played basketball and track for all 4 years and is a 3-year MVP for her track team. She was also a manager for football for 3 years, along with her athletic training internship, and a referee for sports in Elizabeth Parks and Recreations. Now I'll pass it off to our nominator, Megan Zesh.
Megan is an incredible asset for my daily tasks, administrative duties, documentation, game preparation, taping, and anything else I asked of her during football season. She's a self-starter. She stepped up whenever I needed it, whenever I needed an extra set of hands or eyes. She was always noticing if there was a change in an athlete's performance and wanting to aid in how to return them to their peak abilities. Through all of this, I watched Megan grow, mature, and become a true leader. Her ability to problem solve, mentor younger athletes, and have empathy for injured athletes, and while encouraging everyone around her, is why I nominated her for this award. During her essay submission, she spoke about her experience as a football manager and experiencing an injury herself. This was why she wanted to pursue becoming an athletic trainer. I got so invested, asking questions, and decided that this was something I definitely wanted to go into. Having a hands-on experience in this internship was so eye-opening for me that I wanted to stay in athletics and help get others to their top performance, whether that's preventing an injury or helping them come back from one. Being in this internship has shown me how important it is, not only for me, but to see how far I can go in this profession and how I can impact other injured and non-injured athletes. We at Children's Hospital chose Megan for this award because of her commitment and dedication. She is a stellar student and has taken time to learn the profession of athletic training. We are honored to present this award to her. Please help me in congratulating the 2024 Children's Hospital Colorado Outstanding Sports Medicine Student Award recipient, Megan Bankendorf.
Perfect. Let's give one more round of applause for all the winners here today. Again, I want to thank Shields for being the official retail partner of CHSAA, Children's Hospital of Colorado, for helping us with athletic trainers on all those sides and needs of education for medical needs for student athletes in the schools. I now hand it over to Rashawn Davis.
What, no clap? Okay, whatever. I'm just joking. We are presenting the retired administrator recognitions for 2024, and they're just two. Our first, who is not here, is Lisa Chintilla from Fleming High School. 20 years, 28 years with the last 20 at Fleming High School. She taught at Holyoke High School, Sterling Middle School, and Caliche High School. She's been the athletic director at Fleming for the last 19 years. She's been a 6th through 12th grade science teacher, as well as a junior high math teacher and PE. She coached high school track as either an assistant or head coach for 20 years. Also coached junior high volleyball, junior high girls and boys basketball, junior high track for 18 years, and had been an assistant for high school volleyball and high school girls basketball. She served as the president of the North Central League of Athletic Directors for the last 10 years. While she's not here, a round of applause, please, for Lisa Chintilla. Our next retiring administrator, Ron Sukol. Did I say that right? Ron started his career as a wrestling coach at Highland High School and Middle School. After completing his master's at UNC in education and student teaching at Highland High School, he was hired at Pine Creek High School as a PE teacher and assistant wrestling coach. He also coached at Challenger Middle School. After 9 years at Pine Creek, District 20 was opening Discovery Canyon High School. He was hired on the high school planning team to help finish the building and start the school. The school opened in 2007 with 120 ninth grade students, and he was a PE teacher, head wrestling coach, middle school wrestling coach, and middle school football coach. He was hired in 2015-16 as the athletic director and has served in that role ever since. Ladies and gentlemen, Ron Sukol. Next up, John Hill, member of the CHSAA Foundation Board.
Well, maybe we'll get a slide up, but good morning. My name is John Hill, and I'm here representing the foundation today. Our hope by now is that you are more familiar with the foundation and how impactful it is to the students across the state. As a reminder, the foundation seeks to provide opportunities for the membership. The foundation so far this year has raised over $32,000. We are once again looking forward to our annual golf tournament. Last year we had 124 golfers and 15 sponsors. Last year the tournament brought in about $15,000. Thank you to those that attended last year. For those that were unable to play this past year, we hope to see you at this year's tournament, once again hosted at Arrowhead Golf Course on July 30th, following the All-School Summit. The registration link is live now on the CHSAA website. As a reminder, when scheduling games, please keep in mind to utilize your foundation games, as 100% of the proceeds goes directly to the foundation. Thank you to the foundation board, John Hafley, Liz Carey, Doug Ottewell, Wendy Dunway, Hal Kay, Mike Kruger, Larry Bull, Kurt Wilson, Dick Cotty, Sarah Vernon Bruner, Jen Roberts-Ulig, and our newest board member, Gary Ozello. This group of individuals is committed to the initiatives that benefit our students. Thank you for your time, and we hope to see you at the golf tournament in July. There are some photos from last year. Thank you.
All right, reading the room, I can tell that we've been sitting for a little while and we're going to need a break, but we need to do one thing before we do. We want to do one more test vote just to make sure that we have all 71 voting devices working. We haven't had 71 pop up yet on any of the votes that we've done. So at this time, if you would please get on your voting device and let us know, what type of person are you? Let's make sure that we have 71 votes total, and if you are having any technical difficulties, please let us know so we can address those during the break. Also a reminder, there's a 10-second window from the start of the question. There's a 10-second window to vote, so some people might be getting cut off too. Go ahead and refresh your voting page real quick, if you haven't. I think we're at 69 again. Or 70. We got 71? All right, I know we want to get onto the action items, but I also want everybody alert and ready to go and feeling refreshed. So it is 10:19 right now. Let's be back in our seats at 10:30, ready to go. So we got an 11-minute break. Restrooms are right outside down the hallway here. Back in your seats at 10:30, please, so we can get started on our action items.
actually get a chance to say hi to you. For sure. Seems like we got traction finally, a little spin in there, but thanks for pointing out the minutes. I didn't even think about that.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
But
I'm
Ryan
glad you
had
did
texted
because
me,
I
and I was
didn't
like,
see it. I'm like, you're right. Okay, so as soon as I'm done, I'm like, thank you, do the minutes.
Well, now I get, this is on, that's on the,
I was worried
there's
that
like a 25-second delay.
I can put it.
Well, here's,
yeah, exactly. If it comes down to, I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. Like we need 71 people.
yes. It's okay if you don't. Let's make sure you have the capability. Now we've confirmed it.
Yes, thankfully.
We don't want to make.
We could leave it right there on the. Yeah. All right, this is the 2-minute warning. Perfect. Okay, in the circle? 30 seconds. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, it's 10:30. Let's head back to our seats. We're going to vote on the shot clock in 30 seconds. All right, if we could get all the voting members back in their seats so we can get started, please. Folks in the gallery, please take your seats. All right, at this time, we're going to go ahead and dive into our action items. Again, these are proposed amendments to the Constitution and bylaws. As far as constitutional proposals, item 4.1, there are none this year, so we'll move on to 4.2, our administrative proposals. These first four proposals, they're all coming from the Board of Directors, but these came from the Clock Committee, so hopefully everybody's had a chance to preview all of these items, and these all come forward already in the form of a motion, so all we need to take from the floor is a second, and then we'll open it up for discussion, and then we will vote. Is that correct, Marty? All right, good, I got that down finally. All right, so we'll move on. We'll start with admin proposal number 1, classification timeline. Do we have a second? Jeremy Western Slope, thank you very much. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. We have welcome Ryan Casey. No, that's still approval. Are you guys seeing it on your screens? Thanks for your patience. We'll get this worked out. All right, we're in business. Do they need to refresh? All right, if everybody wants to just refresh your browser real quick, I couldn't hurt. And then I think we're where we need to be. So the vote is open for Admin 1 classification timeline. Go ahead and vote. Ryan Casey, you are amazing. The thought of having to go to a roll call vote on every single issue, I was like, oh. All right, so that one passes unanimously. Moving on to Admin 2, classification enrollment calculations. Do we have a second? Sean, Foothills League, thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and vote. And that one passes unanimously as well. Admin 3, declaration deadlines. Do we have a second? Josh, CSM North, thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. That also passes unanimously. Admin 4, classification enrollment timelines. Do we have a second on that one? Corey, Southern Peaks, thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. That too passes unanimously. Thank you. Admin 5, concussion course. Do we have a second? Okay. Walt CASD? Or CASB, sorry. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. That too is unanimous, thank you. Admin 6, transfer. We have a second on that one. Andy, Colorado Springs Metro, thank you. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, let's vote. Ten seconds. That one passes 66-4. All right, admin 7, coach ejections. Do we have a second? Greg Intermountain, thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. Ten seconds. That proposal fails, 52-18. Admin 8, facility availability for ice hockey and skiing. Do we have a second? Larry, Centennial League, thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. That one fails 33 to 31 with 7 abstentions. All right, that's it for our administrative proposals. We're going to move into our athletic proposals. Also being... Oh. Yeah, don't want to miss that one. Sorry, one more. Admin 9, Sunday contact for state events. Do we have a second on that? Hey, Casby, second? Discussion? Hearing and seeing none, let's vote. That one fails 53 to 17 with 1 abstention. All right, thank you. Now we will move on to our 4.3, our athletic proposals also being brought forth by the Board of Directors. The first one up is Athletic 1, girls flag football. Do we have a second? Bob, Continental League, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I do want to start off the discussion on this a little bit, just as being president of the Board of Directors and having gone through this entire process with the Flag Football Pilot Committee. Group came to us in January of 2022, a little over 2 years ago, proposed the pilot process to get it approved for flag football. They moved into 2 successful seasons. The first season was made up strictly of teams from Cherry Creek, Denver, and Jeffco, starting small, making sure to get everything right, thinking that they'd have 10 to 12 to 13 girls per team, and one of the schools on the first day of tryouts had 85 girls show up. Immediately, the interest was there for this sport, so that first year they had 22 schools represented by 29 teams. In the second year of the pilot program, those numbers more than doubled, up to 50 schools being represented by 76 teams with 1,316 young ladies participating in girls flag football. Following the 2 successful seasons, the pilot group received approval from the Equity Committee. That was unanimously approved in January of 2024. The Sports Medicine Committee voted and unanimously approved the idea of sanctioning girls flag football in February of 2024. The Clock Committee met, viewed a presentation, unanimously approved flag football in February of 2024. Budget Committee met, approved, voted, and unanimously approved the sanctioning of flag football in February 2024. And then yesterday, Board of Directors saw this proposal, went back and looked at everything that's been done over the years, and we all voted yes on bringing forward, with 1 abstention, the idea of being in favor of sanctioning girls flag football. 51% of the girls that participated in flag football last year responded to a survey saying they would have had nothing else to do. They would have been doing something else non-athletic had it not been for flag football. The numbers and the popularity of this sport are just skyrocketing at this time. So I would open the floor and I'd yield my time to anybody else that wants to speak on girls flag football. Go ahead from the floor. I think you have to hit the button once on the floor, Mike, and it should come on. Try it there.
All right. Check. Good? All right. Mike Hughes, Jeffco. Before I get started, President West, is there any chance that we could get a look at that evaluation of Mike Kruger? I'd like to see if there's an open forum part that we could possibly... No.
Absolutely not. Okay. That's already been filed away.
If next year you need any help with that, please reach out. So there's an old expression that early feedback is better than late criticism. And what we've received with feedback on girls flag football from all the members that we've reached out to has been terrific. And I thank you for the positive and for the things that we haven't found a solution for quite yet. We know that there's some bumps. We know that there's some hiccups with this. But anecdotally, from speaking as an athletic director at Lakewood High School, this has been one of the best things that's happened to our school in my 7 years there. Our girls' participation has been declining, and with this new sport, it has just lifted our school up. And it's not because we're highly competitive. It's not that we're a dominant school in the sport. It's just been an opportunity for our kids that would not have participated in something else, and they have taken to it and really gravitated to it. We think this is the time to add this sport as a sanctioned activity, to give those kids an opportunity to play in a state championship bracket. We know there's things to get straightened out yet, and we'll get there. And we know that there's been other sports that also have had some bumps that haven't been all straightened out before we've gotten them approved, that we've kind of found out along the way. And we will do that. And it's going to take a couple years maybe to get it completely all figured out. But the schools that are ready right now. And I hope that this membership will support the girls' flag football becoming a sanctioned CHSAA sport. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Kylie?
Good morning. I'm Kylie Russell, Director of Athletics and Activities for Adams 12 5-star schools. I'm using this platform today to speak as the only female district athletic director in the state of Colorado, and to say that I am 100% in full support of girls flag football becoming sanctioned. My school district supported 5 high schools this past fall in the pilot season, and it has definitely been one of the highlights in my 13 years as an athletic director. It's disappointing that for some reason this has turned political and personal for some, and for me it has turned personal, given a recent news article in which my school district and I were misrepresented. I have tried to have my voice be heard and advocate for my student athletes over the past few weeks with my league and fellow district ADs. I ask you to please put your personal beliefs aside and seriously consider the implications that this will have on our female athletes if this is voted down today. They simply want to play girls flag football, and there is not a single reason good enough for us to stand in their way. I say enough with the speculation over how we're going to pull this off. The time to act is now. We aren't asking all schools to onboard this new sport. Let those of us who do want to offer girls flag football for our athletes figure out the hard stuff and pave the way. The fear of the unknown is a scary thought in proposing any new sport. I get that. We face the unknown every single day as leaders in education, and yet what do? We figure things out. The biggest fear I have is if this does not pass today, the disappointment and pain this will cause for over 1,300 girls across the state of Colorado, and the fact that we will have failed them as athletic directors. We owe it to these student athletes to make the right decision here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Kylie. Any further discussion? We can do that when we call the question. We will do a roll call vote. Thank you. Larry? Any further discussion? Commissioner Kruger?
Thank you, team. I know that there's these important items that come before us often, and as a membership, we come together to make decisions, and we have to many times say what's best for our organization, when sometimes it may not even be something that we can host at our own school. And this is one of those. And as commissioner, I don't get to vote on this important issue. I think many of you know where I stand on it, and nor is my role to tell our membership how to vote. My role is to serve you in the direction that you wish to go. I do that humbly, proudly, and with the heart of a servant leader. Although my role is not to tell you how to vote, it is to inform you. It's to afford you the data and insights that provide you with what you need to make an informed decision as you set the path for our organization. But most importantly, I believe my role is to remind you why you vote. With this vote today, you will determine the opportunity for thousands of young girls, both those in high school and those that are journeying toward that path. I think Kylie just really said it best. We've had discussions about field size, rules, uniform schedules. The group leading this pilot for the last 2 years has come before our own membership committees, including budget, equity, sports medicine, and clock, as Ryan mentioned, where each and every one of your committees spoke with a unanimous voice recommending sanctioning for this sport for our girls. But more importantly, our girls have spoken with a loud and unified voice. Our girls have spoken with data which demonstrates 161% growth in participation in 1 year. Our girls have spoken with data which shows that, as Ryan mentioned, over half of which would not have been participating in any other activity. Our girls have spoken in numbers of teams where in unprecedented form our classification and league organizing committee recognized this as an emerging sport that will require starting with 2 classifications due to the number of teams and schools either already participating or demonstrating desire and an interest in joining the movement. The question before you today is not about rules and field size, schedules and uniforms. We'll have 17 committee reports today, all of which will tweak rules and structures in some capacity. We have a committee structure to handle those necessary determinations, what Kylie just said. The question is not about us as the leaders of this association. It's about what this organization we lead stands for. It's not about our desire, but rather our obligation. The truth is that this may be an activity that will not be an option for a number of our member schools or your school community. In fact, it may just be an opportunity that is not right for your community. There may be factors that will keep you from having the ability to host a flag football program. Those factors are real, and it is with great respect that we all must recognize those realities. With that said, I would remind you that we have over 30 sports and activities, and only a very small number of member schools offer all of those activities. The truth is we provide the ones that work for our school and our community, while at the same time we've never been an organization that says no to those that it does work for. Today your vote is for every girl in the state of Colorado. I have a colleague and friend with whom I was lucky enough to serve on a national committee with. Her name is Dr. Jana Register Mihalik. Dr. Mihalik is a nationally renowned leader in the field of sports medicine and is the director of the Traumatic Division for the National Center for Catastrophic Sport Injury Research. Our committee was to look at opportunities for girls in sport. I'll never forget sitting next to Jana as she shared a personal story regarding her daughter. She shared that she was playing catch with a football in her backyard with her daughter, and she was 8 years old, and her daughter was having so much fun that they decided to go down to the store, buy a flag football kit so that she could play with her friends and cousins. When they brought the newly purchased flag football kit home, the box said for boys ages 6 to 12. This is not about flag football. It is about what is right for girls in our state. My friend Megan Scremin, the CEO of Colorado Special Olympics, sent me a video yesterday. It was a video of her young daughter playing flag football, and the caption said, quote, "I know the state will be voting on this tomorrow. I just wanted to send you this video of my daughter scoring her first touchdown. By the way, she outran all the boys. I'm hoping that girls flag football will continue to be an option for her because she loves it already. Signed, a proud mom." The only question that's before you today is what is best for the girls in Colorado high schools. It's a question that demands our attention, our action, and our unwavering commitment to equality and opportunity. It's a question that speaks to the foundational principles and values of what we stand for as an organization. The voices of our girls have spoken. They've spoken resoundingly with a call for inclusivity, empowerment, and the chance to pursue their passions. They've demonstrated their enthusiasm, their talent, and their dedication to the game of flag football. Now it's our responsibility as stewards of their future to heed their call. The value of sanctioning girls flag football in Colorado high schools is not merely a matter of sport. In fact, take the sport out of it. It's a matter of principle. It's a matter of values and of providing every young girl with opportunity. Colorado leads the country in female participation in high school sport, yet we still trail boys 48 to 52% for girls. And then we lead the country. Everything we stand for as an organization is tied up in this. The data unequivocally supports this imperative. By offering girls flag football as a sanctioned sport, we're not only expanding their opportunities for personal growth and success, we're also fostering a culture of inclusivity and empowerment that reverberates far beyond the playing field. Today, we stand at a crossroads with the power to shape the future for generations of young girls across our state. Let us listen to their voices, honor their dreams, and champion their opportunity to play. This is why you vote.
Thank you, Mike. Any further discussion?
Yeah, Chris Murray with the San Juan League. We're down in the southwest corner of the state. I don't really know what the political thing is that's going on, but I will say it's our job to solve any problems, to make it work for our kids. So we're going to be voting yes, and I hope everyone can figure out how they're going to solve whatever issue that's holding them up.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll call the question and go ahead with a roll call vote. Bethany.
Okay, if you could just answer verbally, that would be a lot easier. Nice and loud, please. Kelly Presser. Richard Hardgrove. Sammy Swenis. Nathan Trice. Rob Johnson. Leroy Lopez. Matt Heckel. Teal Hemphill. Curtis Holland. Travis Ayers. Will Jones. Larry Bull. Vince Orlando. Wes Smock. Ryan Weidman. Casey Powell. Rob Harrison. Kevin Benji. Bob Bentley. Andy Parks. John Schub. Matt Wilson. Kurt Slaughter. Mike Perez. Tom Brisky. Jill Schrader. Josh Stevenson. Daryl Abeda. Sean DePaula. Eric Gustafson. Abstain. Dave Walk. No. Tyler Zappia. Yes. Rick Jacoby. Nick Troop. Manuel Gonzalez. Greg Jones. Patrick Simpson. Chris Ensminger. Mike Hughes. Jeff Collins. Lindsay Yost. Ty Gordon. Chris Roth. Scott Dilley. John Hill. Ellie Kempf. Colleen Ford. Jeff Schusler. Steve McCracken. Sean Skribick. Abstain. Pete Scheck. Abstain. Eric Johnson. Abstain. Ryan Weirman. Travis Steiner. Nick Baker. Chris Murray. Mark Lowther. Matthew Addington. James V. Hill. Matt Lucero. Corey Rivas. Steve Wojtek. Abstain. Chris Medina. Mike Pruzanowski. Jeremy Kearns. Zach Bissell. Clark Kindler. Jeremy McCormick. Greg Hawkins. Danielle Campbell. Connor Fiskus. What is it? 57 in favor, 9 noes, 5 abstentions. It passes.
Thank you all, and I know the CHSAA staff will begin work immediately with the group forming the sport committee and moving forward with girls flag football. Athletic proposal number 2, ice hockey season of sport. Do we have a second? Travis, was that a second? Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and vote. All right, that passes 60 to 8 with 3 abstentions. Athletic 3, keep spring season of sport consistent. Do we have a second? Centennial, any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, let's vote. All right, that passes 63 to 8. Thank you. Athletic proposal 4, lacrosse season of sport. Do we have a second? We pulling that one? Based on the outcome of the prior vote, Athletic 3, we're going to pull Athletic 4, 5, and 6 off of the docket. Those become moot at this point. All right, 4.4, there are no activity proposals, and 4.5, no policy proposals today. So we'll go ahead and move on to 5.0, our committee reports. We'll start off with CR1, our budget report. Rick?
Testing. All right, good. First of all, we really appreciate the committee and thank them for all that they do. It's a good group. Sarah does a great job, and we really appreciate her and everything that she's done for us, too. Just a couple reminders. Guys, we just have to keep in mind that we compensate the CHSAA people. We got to stay competitive in that, and it's kind of a hard thing sometimes to look at when you're a budget, but I really do think that's important. And the second thing that we run into is facilities and the building, the things that are going on there. Those are costs that, again, don't go directly with our committees and everything that we're trying to do for kids, but it is something that CHSAA does have to look at. And it's not cheap if you're involved in any building things going on in your districts. So just be aware of those two things. But minor than that, we have no major changes and ask to approve our report.
Thank you, Rick. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Steve, North Central, thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, let's vote. All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you, Rick. CR2 Clock Committee, Clay Alba.
It's Clay Alba to you. All right, thank you. Hey, so with our committee report, I think you'll notice we have 5 major changes. One, we recommend that the probationary membership be removed, and we give full CHSAA membership to the Windsor Charter and STEM of High School of Highlands Ranch. We also recommend that Vanguard Classical East be given a 1-year probationary extension towards becoming a full committee. We talked about enrollment changes approved for girls wrestling. And then with the approval of girls flag football, we did want to recommend two classifications for a minimum of at least 50 schools participating, and I believe that'll happen. And then you'll see, in accordance, we wanted to approve league classification and adjustments as noted under Section 4 of our report. So with that, those are our major changes. So do I have a motion to accept our report?
You make the motion.
I place that motion. So I place a motion that you accept this report.
Thank you, Clay.
And
We
the
have a
second
motion. Do we have a
is-
second? Patrick Jeffco, thank you. Any further discussion? May have to push the button one time on there to make that live.
Oh, Ryan Wehrman, Patriot League. There was a clerical error with this in boys golf, adding 2A classification. Resurrection Christian in boys golf was placed in 2A. They would like to be in 3A or stay in the 3A classification for boys golf. So I'd like to make an amendment to the report to have Resurrection Christian placed in 3A for boys golf.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to keep Resurrection Christian at 3A in boys golf. Do we have a second on the motion for the amendment? Greg, Intermountain League, do we have any discussion on the amendment? Since this is an amendment to a standing report, this does require a 2/3 majority to pass. Hearing none. Mike, did you want to speak to this real quick? Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's vote on the amendment to the Clock Committee report to keep Resurrection Christian at 3A boys golf. Ten seconds. Okay, so the amendment passes 69-1. We'll go back to the original motion that has been motioned and seconded and now amended on the Clock Committee report. Any further discussion on the Clock Committee report as amended? Hearing and seeing none, let's go ahead and vote. Ten seconds. And that passes 70-1. Thank you. All right, CR4 Equity Committee, Derek Cheney.
I'd also like to thank the Equity Committee for their work. We have a standing committee, some new members this year, so appreciate all the work of the committee. And of course, Bethany, to your leadership, appreciate you, as always, leading our committee. So really no major changes on the equity report. We spent the majority of the meeting discussing girls flag football. I think we were the first one before we went to 3 or 4 committees, and so we unanimously supported girls flag football moving forward. So no real other changes. I do want to acknowledge Rashawn and Bethany for their work. We recently are starting to collaborate with the Sportsmanship Committee and figuring out where there's some overlap between sportsmanship and equity, and I think kind of in the infant stages, so we're excited about where we're going to go with working with equity and sportsmanship together. So that's really it for the equity report. We like to move for the adoption of the equity report, please.
Thank you, Derek. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Tom, I'll get your name right this time. Continental with the second. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, let's vote. That one passes 69-1.
Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. All right, CR7 Sportsmanship Committee, Diane Shuck or Rashawn Salam? Or Rashawn Davis. Rashawn Salam.
Slight change of plans.
Contextually, my brother played. He was the starting right tackle when Rashawn won the Heisman, so every time I hear the name Rashawn, I think of Rashawn Salam. But
We're just
Rashawn
seeing
Davis.
who's awake right now. But for those who did not notice, I'm not Diane. But I do want to thank the Sportsmanship Committee, specifically for the work that Derek just mentioned. The joining with the Equity Committee and looking at how we're making this happen really will help guide our work, along with the things that Mike mentioned this morning. So I do again want to thank Bethany, Derek, and the Equity Committee, along with Sportsmanship Committee, for making this happen. We have nothing else to report, so at this time I'd move for the adoption of the acceptance of our committee report.
All right, Rashawn, thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? All right, Larry, second. Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, let's vote. And that passes 70-1. Thank you.
Thank you.
CR8 Sports Medicine Advisory Committee, better known as SMAC. Kevin Clark.
SMAC committee, one major change to the report, in our committee report in the 24-25 school year, we're looking to pilot a standard PPE form, and then during the 25-26 school year, it would be a required form. The change of that has been recommended by our physicians. Over the past few years, we've landed on the American Academy of Pediatrics form with a slight tweak to it, and that will be the form that will be updated to the sports medicine website. You guys will have access to that form, I think, in the next week, if approved. So with that, I motion and that the Legislative Council to accept our report as submitted.
Thank you, Kevin. Do we have a second? Matt Case, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing.
Yeah, absolutely, Larry. As you know, the physicians who sit on that board, I mean, we've got UC Health, Kaiser, Banner. We have physicians throughout the state a part of that, and that's essentially why we have that pilot year, so physicians can get that. Within that, we understand some of the smaller communities that maybe have the mom and pop position, that they have time to get that going. And again, that's why we have that. And again, it is our physicians, Larry, who have been making this recommendation.
big piece with this is going to be that our schools don't accept anything other than this. So sports medicine and my office will put out an email to everybody in those groups, but all of those groups, those head doctors have already had conversations within their buildings, so they all know it's coming. When we're in a, an area where it might be a mom and pop kind of doctor's office, those letters that we'll provide should help them with that as well. But that's why it's going to be very important that our schools only accept page 4. That's it. Can't accept the one, you're cleared to play from Kaiser anymore. It'd have to be that form only. And they already do, and they have. So this has been a work in progress for 3 years. It's been a recommended form for 6, and we've been working with those institutes for 3. Again, we're still going to have some of those people that want to give you the very basic. So our ask to the schools and our membership is to not accept anything but that. And again, this really comes to holding some of our healthcare partners accountable, because some of these physicals, I'm sure you've seen within your district, they're almost a joke. I mean, we're finding things with kids that should have been caught in a physical. And obviously the rollout of COVID and all of the beliefs of whatever, we still don't know those impacts. And so we're seeing things, that things are coming to our office and to sports medicine, that those things aren't being evaluated. So again, for the safety of kids, that's why the push is happening. No, I think that was good. Yeah.
Thank you. Good discussion. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, let's vote. All right, that passes 66-5. Thank you. Moving on to 5.2, Activity Committee reports. We only have one, CR 11, Speech Committee, Ashley McCulloch.
Hello, I serve as the chair of the Speech Activities Committee, and I want to say thank you to all of the coaches of the speech and debate community who serve on that committee. We always have really thoughtful discussions about what we need to do to continue growing our activity. We don't have any major changes from last year's report, but we do have some informational items to share out. This was our second year operating under a 3 classification system. Our 3A state tournament hosted 26 teams with 237 students participating. Our 4A state tournament had 38 teams with 411 students participating, and our 5A state tournament had 32 teams and 565 students participating. We discussed how we can help continue increasing numbers and growing this activity in the state of Colorado. We are talking about what we can do to help pull in new coaches, particularly to our speech and debate coaches conference in the fall. We'll be adopting language regarding the use of generative AI that aligns with the National Speech and Debate Association's language, and we'll be adding some clarification to our handbook based on some new procedural things that we've been doing as we've shifted to online balloting at our competitions. And at this time, I would like to move to adopt our committee report.
Thank you, Ashley. We have a motion on the floor. Second. Greg Western Slope. Thank you, Greg. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. And that passes unanimously, 71-0. Thank you. All right, we have one last chunk to get through with our athletic committee reports. We've also been sitting for 55 minutes. Let's not do a full break, but let's do a 5-minute stand and stretch break and be back in your seats at 11:30. So actually 4 minutes, just quick stand and stretch. If you need to fill your water bottle, there's a water bottle station out there between the bathrooms, but please, 4 minutes, let's be back in our seats. Oh, it's going to be smooth. It's going to be smooth. Yeah, we're just going to pass the committee report as written. And, no questions. Do you think if the first amendment pulled the second and third one? Do you count on the chest now? Great job, Brian.
You know? It's a good Okay, how about yours?
One minute remaining in the stretching period. 1 minute. Alan Roach has nothing on me. Well, we'll see. Let's see if I can get through this. So all these amendments for basketball have to be a two-third vote.
Unless they were submitted in advance.
These were submitted in advance. So an amendment from the floor is two-thirds, but these amendments are majority.
Let's double check, but I think that's correct.
Okay. All right, let's get back to our seats. Get through this last part. Get everybody out of here at a decent time. Okay, I think we have everybody back. Let's go ahead and roll into item 5.3. These are our athletic committee reports, and we'll start off with our baseball committee and Aaron Reeson.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank the committee for their work moving baseball forward in the state of Colorado. John Sullivan for his leadership on the baseball committee. As you can see, we have no major changes, but some informational items to note. We are going to move the meeting to September. Since we have 2 legislative council meetings, we're kind of going back to the way we used to do things, to where we can have our meeting in September, vote on things in January, and hopefully turn that around quicker so you can implement things for the spring season. We've had some discussions around playoffs, so that'll be a continued discussion as we head into September. And then we've had some discussions around pitch count and the consecutive day pitch count. So keep that in mind. The committee will be discussing those things come September. So I move for the adoption of the baseball committee report.
Thanks, Aaron. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Greg, Intermountain League, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's vote on the approval of the baseball committee report. Five seconds. Okay, that passes 70-0. Thank you. All right, moving on to CR14, Basketball Committee report. Doug is not available today, so Bethany Brookins is going to speak to Basketball Committee.
Okay, great. Thank you. Just a heartfelt thank you to my entire committee, including our awesome leader, Doug Clinkscales. He is currently the principal at Manual Middle School and is teaching 6th grade math today. He wishes that he could be part of the fun festivities. But in true honesty, I feel like the basketball committee and all of the members took their roles incredibly serious. There was a pre-meeting. There was a lot of outreach. We tried to get as much feedback as we could from the membership, and while I know that we were not, successful in getting 100% support in everything that we do, I know that that's very difficult, especially in the sport of basketball. So with that being said, our basketball committee report is recommending the following changes. One, for the 1A to tweak their regional seeding process just slightly, and then for 2A, 3A to eliminate districts. 4A will then extend their season by a week to move to a true seeded regional format, like 2A and 3A will have. And then the 5A, 6A classification is looking to expand the bracket size from 32 to 40 teams. So with that being said, I know that there's some amendments coming up, but with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to approve the basketball committee report.
Thank you, Bethany. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second to approve the basketball committee report? Mike Tripeaks, thank you. Any discussion? I think one tap. There you go. Okay, so we have a proposal for an amendment on the floor to strike section 1, letter D from the report as proposed. Do we have a second? Andy, second. Thank you. Any further discussion? The amendment was to strike section 1, letter D, expanding the 5A, 6A bracket size from 32 to 40 teams, leaving the bracket at 32 teams. Is that correct, Steve? Okay. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
The mic helps just for everyone listening to the live stream.
Yeah,
Thank
perfect.
You.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, Rob Johnson, Chaparral High School, CADA. On the basketball committee as well. Looking at, 5A, 6A, definitely two different leagues there, two different kind of scenarios, but a lot of feedback from both of those. I've talked to a lot of coaches and administrators in both of those leagues. 5A was a really hard yes on some of these, on going to 40 teams. Some 5A schools were a hard no. And they were kind of in the middle. 6A, definitely much in favor of a 40-team bracket. And again, if you had a chance to look at the bracket, it sets up really good for our schedule. It allows us to have 2 games the first week, 2 games the next week of the playoffs. So the grade 8 and the Sweet 16 are in the same week. We don't have that big delay anymore. And it also creates then that last weekend with the championship match of the Final Four and the championship game. So the scheduling, it really helps. And then just looking at the bracket itself, you'll see, and again, I will go back to a competitive first round playoff game that many of these programs are dying for. I think if you ask any athlete or coach, do they want to keep playing one more game and practice one more time to just have that experience? I think there's a lot of yeses for that. But it gives us matchup. So our 25 through 40 will be having a first round game. Top 24 teams will have a bye. And a lot of coaches would appreciate that bye, especially at the end of the year. Bodies recovering, all those things, to give them an extra little few days before they play that Friday or Saturday. But for the first round, it's that chance for this 25 to 40 to have a competitive, fun playoff experience that will happen on that Tuesday or Thursday. There's more travel depending on 5A or 6A, but in general, we felt that could give us, I get a lot of positive feedback for that, mostly in favor of that. But that was my point on the going to the 40. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Any further discussion on this particular amendment? Okay, since this amendment came from the floor, it'll require a 2/3 majority to pass. So at this time, let's go ahead and vote on the amendment, which will strike section 1, letter D from the committee report as presented. The amendment. Correct. Do we need to reset the vote? All right, so although this is important, let's make sure that we have this right. Ryan, can we reset the vote? So a vote of yes here is saying that you do want to amend the committee report to strike letter D, section 1 from the report. A no vote says you want to continue on with the committee report as written. You're welcome. Okay, so that amendment fails. It does not have the required number of votes to meet that 2/3 threshold. So now we are back to a motion and second on the floor to approve the basketball committee as written. Any further discussion on that? We also have some amendments coming up that were submitted in advance.
I'd encourage Richard Hardgrove to stand at this time before we go into the shot clock discussion. He's about to propose something that the basketball committee does support. Richard is a committee member.
Check. There you go. Richard Hargrove, Arkansas Valley. I'd like to propose an amendment to the basketball committee report that would move Wiley from the 1A District 3 to the 1A District 2. This would be, it would create much more balance between District 2 and District 3 as far as the number of teams. Wiley's been playing in that district, District 2, the last number of years as well. And we would ask for support of this amendment. Both districts are in agreement with that move.
Thank you, Richard. So we have an amendment on the floor to move Wiley from Class 1A District 3 to Class 1A District 2. Do we have a second? Matt, Southern Peaks, thank you. Any further discussion? So we're going to vote on this amendment. A yes vote means you are in favor of moving Wiley from District 3 to District 2. A no vote is to leave the committee report as written. Let's go ahead and vote. Okay, that amendment passes 66 yes, 1 no with 3 abstentions. Before we move on to the amendments submitted ahead of time around the shot clock, do we have any other discussion about the motion and second on the floor to approve the basketball committee report?
We'll need to vote on these amendments before. Yep, thank you.
Okay, so at this time, we're going to move to CR 14A, First Amendment on the shot clock, which would approve the shot clock at the varsity level only across all classifications. This amendment is brought forward by the Centennial and Continental Leagues. Do we have a second on the motion? Mike Hughes, Jeff goes second. Any discussion? Rob?
Real quick, wanted to make sure that we were clear on the amendments. Both A and B were set for the 26-27 school year. I believe the amendment B did not initially have a date on there, but that was a clerical mistake that was fixed. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. Both A and B are for 26-27.
Thank you for that clarification.
Mr. West, can I speak?
Go ahead, Mr. Book.
I feel like as Director of Officials, I need to just say this piece that regardless of the outcome of this, it will have an effect on officials. When we select for the state tournament, depending on how this goes, obviously, one way it will work just fine, another way will limit the pool of officials that can come to certain state tournaments and venues because of the classifications. So just want to point that out that it is a very difficult process and will certainly have an effect on the officials pool that we have.
Thank you, Mike. Any further discussion on CR 14A? Hearing and seeing none, let's go ahead and vote. And again, since these amendments were submitted in advance, they only require a majority to pass, not a 2/3 like an amendment would if it were coming from the floor. So By a vote of 40 to 30, Amendment CR 14A passes. Also want to make sure that when we have multiple amendments on the same issue, the last one to be passed is the one that takes effect. So that would have effect with CR 14B and CR 14C. So moving on to CR 14B, which is the shot clock at the 5A, 6A varsity level only. Do we have a motion?
Continental and Centennial would like to strike 14B from the memorandum.
Okay, 14B has been removed from the agenda. 14C, shot clock 6A level only. Western Slope League is bringing this one forward. Do we have a motion? Or do we have a second? Danielle, Western Slope League, second. Sorry, league cannot second their own motion. Do we have a second? Going once. Travis from Casby. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, let's vote on 14C. Ten seconds. That amendment fails 55 to 12 with 2 abstentions. CR 14D to eliminate 1A districts, also brought forth by the Western Slope League. Do we have a second? Will Jones Casby, second. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, let's vote. There's still one vote out there. Ten seconds.
Oh.
By a vote of 24 to 22 with 25 abstentions, Amendment 1D is successful.
Wow.
Amendment CR 14E, 4A through 6A, grade 8 times presented or brought forth by the City League. Or motion by the City League. Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Nick, Frontier League, thank you. Any discussion?
Check. Ryan Wehrman, Patriot League. With the 4A going to a different format, the 4A doesn't fall into this aspect of all for the grade 8. You're not involved in that grade 8 Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Thursday games. because the grade 8 would be played that final week for 4A.
You'll still have 8 games a day, though, that day.
Okay, but I just wanted to add, 4A wouldn't be involved in the schedule, right?
Well, not at the exact same time, but I mean, technically, yes, there will have to be a schedule set forward for your grade 8 games because it will still be happening on that Wednesday, all 8 games in one day.
Because what's typically the grade 8 weekend would be 4As will have regionals that weekend.
Yeah.
So they'll be at sites. So just where it said for 4A through 6A, it should really just be 5A and 6A.
Yes, I would agree. It's a little confusing, but yeah, I agree with you, yes.
Okay.
So do we need to amend the, no, it's good
No,
as
you
is.
can't, no.
Okay. Any further discussion on CR 14E?
Bethany, was this discussed by basketball committee or?
It was brought forward after the basketball committee met, but just so everyone is clear, the grade 8 game times for currently the 4A, 5A, 6A was done by our basketball committee this year. I think that a great deal of time and consideration was given by these individuals on a Sunday morning to try to get girls and boys playing back to back and to try to accommodate as best as possible what that schedule looks like. Obviously, no one wants to play in the morning, but 8 games a day do have to occur. And so I would say that the basketball committee would be against this proposal.
Wasn't another contributing factor to the game times to same schools having both boys and girls and accommodating that? Because that were several instances.
That was a huge part of it, yes.
Yeah. So having that flexibility in the schedule was. Okay. Any further discussion? Greg?
The discussion in the Intermountain League was with, as far as they have to travel and the ability for her to schedule those games together was a great benefit for teams that were traveling and bringing their fans up to be there rather than 8 o'clock at morning and at 8 o'clock at night.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Kevin?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity. So where we're coming from with this proposal is we have teams that have competed and they have worked an entire season, which includes students and staff, and so they've earned the opportunity to have what could be a primetime game time. Currently, we're looking at ways of keeping boys and girls programs together, which is also an important thing, but thinking about the students that are participating and earning that primetime spot. This is the proposal that we're putting forth. The other piece too is as you're looking at the bracket and thinking about your school community can then track. It can be a transparent process of where you might fall on the schedule. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Any further discussion on CR 14E?
I think one of the biggest things just in response to that is that if the committee does not have the opportunity to try to take geography or boys and girls into consideration, then your fans will then have to buy 2 tickets to watch your team.
Larry Bull, Centennial League. This could be a mistake, but I'd like to recognize Jason Wilkins.
It's all right, Larry. You already made a mistake earlier, so that's good. I would like to know, Kevin, with your guys' proposal, I looked at the brackets, and typically you talked about rewarding and the evening games and stuff like that. How come the 1 and 2 seeds aren't the teams that get the primetime games? It's other seeds. So I'm just kind of curious how you guys came about the numbers and the times associated. So that would be my first question. My second question is, obviously the committee is, as Bethany has stated, is against this, and they're the ones that have put in a lot of time on this. And I don't know that some of the angst that we've had over the issues with times down there, obviously not everyone's thrilled for the 8:45 a.m. game. That's not changing. really in this. That's not changing at all. But all the flexibility and the ability to have schools go back to back, or to put districts together, or to look at travel would all go away. I don't think there's enough benefit that comes from this that outweighs all the other things that kind of, in my opinion, would take precedence over that. But I would like to understand how you came up with what teams got which time slots.
Thanks, Jason. So looking at the proposed times, the 4 o'clock game being the 1 o'clock, either boys or girls, which would alternate year to year. You know that game's going to start on time. You know at 4 o'clock, your community knows, you're prepared as a student, as a staff member. You don't have to wait for that game to start. That's a way to maximize the gate in the afternoon as well. And then with the 1:15, 11:45, and 1:15 start, another way to maximize the gate and having the second ranked team in the state participate in the morning session.
Any further discussion, CR 14E? All right, hearing and seeing none, let's go ahead and vote. Seconds. And that amendment fails 60-9 with 1 abstention. Last but not least, Amendment CR 14F to continue 2A district tournaments brought forth by the Southern Peaks League. Do we have a second? Greg, Intermountain League, thank you. Any discussion, CR 14F? Go ahead, Greg.
I'm just making sure I don't have to recognize anybody. I'd be remiss if I didn't speak on this. This was brought forth by more than just our schools, as it was our communities that would like to keep the districts, because it has been a long-standing tradition in a lot of the small communities around the state. For us in our league, it's a moneymaker that keeps our league running for a year and keeps our league costs down with costs of coming back and playing with the playoff finance coming in. I don't know if we'll be able to make up that cost. Also, it's been suggested we still have a tournament, but you're still trying to get everybody 3 games, and with the costs of officials and things like that, I don't think the money made is going to offset that. A lot of going to 23 games, also being in the rural areas, travel and those things, plus all of our teams aren't top-notch teams, so you're going to have a hard time going out there and finding games that can help you or be the same as a league team. But you know, we're going down the road of teams not wanting to play league teams, and they're almost getting to that choice. But as a league, you're going to have to stand forth and put that down. And it's just, you know, you're playing the league district tournament for something. When you're just playing another tournament, you're not really playing that, which, like I said, if we don't make the money for the leagues, we could be eliminating some of the auxiliary things that our league does, which is the art shows, theater, those things like that we put on as a league. They could be going down the drain if the costs keep going up. I mean, our league's sitting good right now, but coming in the future years, those things could go down if we don't have the sponsored district tournament to help pay for those things. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Any further discussions? CR 14F.
Jeremy Kearns, Union Pacific League. I'm on the basketball committee. When we did our work session, I think it was back in January, I knew that this was coming. and I didn't feel like I could vote on it or give a recommendation on it in good conscience without reaching out to the other 2A ADs. So I took it upon myself to send out a personal email to all the 2A ADs that were on the email list that we got at the beginning of the year. And each AD that reached back to me, I recorded what they would want to go with and even their comments, and got it out to the rest of the committee. And at that time, it came back as 34-16 to eliminate districts and go with a 23-game regular season. So in our mind and in the committee's mind, we felt like that was enough to go ahead and move forward and go with the 23-game regular season and eliminating districts.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Colleen Ford from Mile High League. We are in favor of what Jeremy just said. Our league is actually split into 3 separate districts, so we lost money hosting all 3 at 3A and 2A levels. And so we are just going to put together a league tournament to help our league finance in this case.
Thank you. Any further discussion? CR 14F. All right, hearing and seeing none, let's go ahead and vote. I think that's everybody. The amendment fails 38-8 with 25 abstentions. So, we are back now to the original question on the floor as amended to approve the basketball committee report as presented with amendment CR 14A, which approves the shot clock at the varsity only level in all classifications beginning with the 26-27 school year, and also eliminates 1A district tournaments. Any further discussion on this motion? Okay, at this time, let's vote to approve the basketball committee report as amended. So the committee report passes 61-9. I failed to also say that that included the amendment of moving Wiley from District 3 to District 2 in 1A, so I apologize for not saying that in advance. 62-9, final vote on that. Thank you. You guys okay with keep plugging along, just get through this? All right, let's move on to athletic report CR 16 field hockey and John Hill.
Can't take a break. We're talking field hockey. All right. Good afternoon. I would like to begin the report by thanking the Field Hockey Committee and Justin Saylor for their hard work and dedication throughout the school year. The Field Hockey Committee spent countless hours and careful consideration in creating a format that we feel is best for the sport. We are asking that the Legislative Council trust the work of the Field Hockey Committee with their vote today, allowing the schools across the state that offer the sport to ultimately decide what is best for field hockey. We thank you for your consideration this morning and the commitment to the student athletes across Colorado.
Do you want a motion?
Ellie Kempf, Metro League. The Metro League would like to propose an amendment to the field hockey report.
We need to move to approve the report, and then we can take an amendment from the floor.
Okay. I guess I moved for the adoption of the Field Hockey Committee report as submitted.
Okay. Second, Leroy Cada. Now discussion.
The Metro League would like to propose an amendment to the field hockey report. At this time, I would like to recognize Richard Judd, the Field Hockey League president.
Chair recognizes Richard Judd.
Thank you. The amendment we would like to propose is the creation of the district format to the postseason tournament with only one state CHSAA champion. And I think we have a slide for that, Ryan. Maybe. While we're pulling that up, I'll just discuss. We heard exactly what this group and across the state talked about, not having multiple championships or champions. So our proposal is to have a district tournament similar to basketball where all the teams qualify and the winners move on into the state bracket. We would also have a consolation bracket, but we are only giving one trophy, well, two, a champion and a runner-up, but there's no third place, there's no consolation. We're just asking to expand our tournament with a consolation bracket as it is.
Okay, so there's an amendment on the floor to have only one state champion, and add a consolation bracket to the proposed format, correct?
Yes, all 16 teams would qualify like
Playing
districts
one
in, now all gone, but the way basketball used to run it. This really would help our sport to continue to grow, both with the athletes that we currently have, but hopefully across the state. And we've talked a lot about opportunities. This is another opportunity we can give within field hockey. And as John said, we understand that you may not have field hockey. Most times when I would get up there, it was an easy yes. I get that. We're asking you to trust us in that what we want to do is the best thing for this sport. We're not trying to set any precedents. We're just trying to give some more opportunities, some more excitement to our sport so that we can continue to grow. Again, no second champion. I know that was a big contention at the January meeting. Only one champion. I want to stress that. And this is not a new thing. This is similar to districts of basketball in the past. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Richard. Do we, motion's on the floor. Do we have a second? Second? Any further discussion? Chair recognizes Brandon from Pooter.
Thank you, Dave. Brandon Carlucci, Pooter School District, and having a team in field hockey that is usually at the lower end of those 16 teams, struggling to even be a 500 style team. I can tell you that we support this amendment. Our biggest hang-up as a league, now we have two teams. Boulder has recently added a team, so they're going to be in that developmental lower half of the 16 teams as well. And some of the frustration coming from field hockey towards us was they're saying, hey, listen, what we're trying to do right now is going to impact you all positively, but we just couldn't get over the second trophy. We said there's no need for that. It does set a precedent. We couldn't get past that. We didn't feel like the 9th team needed to be called a state champion. One state champion with 16 teams is plenty, but what I appreciate is the thinking of this sport is close to on life support with 16 teams in the state, and now we're going to introduce flag football at the same season. So there's going to be some collateral damage there possibly. How can we get girls excited and staying involved in field hockey? So for us, I can tell you, and those of you voting today, this was being worked as late as last night. But I can tell you we were a 3-0 vote against, and now we are a 3-0 vote for. So those of you that have the authority and would vote, I would ask that you support this amendment because it does eliminate, just as Richard said, it eliminates that second championship and tries to work creatively to keep excitement and keep these girls engaged in this sport. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Any further discussion on the amendment? Chair recognizes Mr. Wilkins.
Thanks, Larry. As a school that offers this sport, I can tell you the last few years, our numbers of girls participating has continued to go up. We have roughly 70 girls that participate in this sport now, and other schools, Smoky Hill, numbers are starting to go up. We're seeing some increase in numbers in some schools' participation. Some of that is the work of the committee and Justin coming up with initiatives to continue to drive the sport forward. And I think this is another really good one. And so I'll echo what Brandon stated, that if you were against this because of the champion, I totally understand that. That didn't make a lot of sense to myself either. But the new amendment, I think, makes perfect sense for this sport and will cause zero collateral damage, in my opinion. And so I'm completely in favor of this, and I would ask for support in passing this for the 16 schools that currently offer field hockey.
Thank you, Jason. Any further discussion? Travis?
I'll make it brief this time. I just want to thank the Field Hockey Committee, Richard, and everybody out there for listening to the Legislative Council and listening to our thoughts last time. This sounds like a great compromise and would be in full support of it.
Thank you, Travis. Any further discussion? Kevin?
I'd also like the membership to know that the City League also supports this for all the reasons that are already being detailed. So I am excited and hopeful that this is supported by our membership.
Thank you, Kevin. Any further discussion on the amendment coming from the floor? This will require a 2/3 majority to pass at this time. Hearing no further discussion, let's go ahead and vote on the proposed amendment to include a consolation tournament coming out of a district format for field hockey. Ten seconds. That amendment passes 58-1 with 10 abstentions. So we're now back to the original question on the floor of passing the field hockey report now as amended. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, let's go ahead and vote. Ten seconds. Passes 60-0 with 8 abstentions.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, CR17 Football Committee, Chris Knoll.
Good morning, sir. On behalf of the Football Committee, we would like to congratulate Associate Commissioner Brookins and the Basketball Committee. For the last 8 to 10 years, the Football Committee has been the problem child of this organization, so we would like to wish you nothing but the best, and we give you that new crown. We would also like to thank John Sullivan and Sandra for all of your leadership and hard work, keeping the football group moving forward. I also want to thank all of our committee members, as well as Troy Elder, Chris Medina, and Joe Roscom as they head off of the Football Committee. The one major change we want to highlight is the summer padded camp options will return to pre-COVID protocols, which means one padded camp between Memorial Day and August 1st. We have a couple of other housekeeping items there, but that is the major change. And with that, I would recommend, I would make a motion for the pass. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Make a motion for the passage of the Football Committee report.
Thank you, Chris. We have a motion on the floor to approve the Football Committee report. Second? Eric, Front Range League, thank you. Any discussion before we look at the amendment? We do have one amendment on. Hold on a second.
Larry Bull, Centennial League. And I've talked with Chris, John, Mike, and would ask the football committee to really problem solve with 5A football and scheduling. We have schools, whether it's the bottom school or the top school, that are having difficulty finding games. Next year, we have a school that's probably going to cost about $120,000 to travel out of state 3 times. So I know Chris has some suggestions, and John, but I'd like that to be a major topic with the football committee moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bull. We do, John and I have talked, and we will be creating a subcommittee to discuss scheduling as we move forward for the next cycle. Not the next cycle, but the next cycle.
Any further discussion before we look at the amendment? All right, so we do have one amendment, CR 17A, reverting the hosting criteria, motion by the Frontier League. Do we have a second for CR 17A? Leroy, Cada? Any discussion?
President West, the football committee does not support this amendment. We have done a very good job on the football committee over the last probably 6 years of making sure that our committee members go out and talk to those classifications. Anybody that's been around knows that we talk about this home-away playoff deal, higher seed. We've been talking about it for years. We have tasked our committee members to go out and listen to those classifications. It is something we talk about at all of our football committee meetings. Our committee members did that. This did not go through the football committee. So at this time, we do not support this amendment, as we believe we heard from our classifications when we went and did the work.
Thank you, Chris. Any further discussion on the amendment? This amendment, since it was submitted ahead of time, only requires a majority to pass. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and vote on Amendment CR 17A, reverting the hosting criteria. Ten seconds. That amendment fails 63-7. Back to the original question on the floor of approving the football committee report as presented. Motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and vote on approval of the football committee report as presented. Seconds. That report passes 69-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Moving on, CR 20, ice hockey. Tarita Walker.
Good afternoon. I would like to first thank the Ice Hockey Committee for all of their hard work and dedication throughout this school year. I also, if you were here last year, prepared a song because of how wonderful Justin Saylor was in leading this committee. He was slightly mediocre this year, so I did cancel the interpretive dance that I prepared for today. So thank you, kind of, Justin, for all of your hard work. We'll see how well you do next year. But also, along with, I'd like to thank the Coaches Association, the Officials Association, all of whom put countless hours into the betterment of our student athletes. The major changes for the 23-24 ice hockey report are as follows. Mirroring the start and end dates for 24-26 cycle to those of the 22-24 cycle, which was passed by the Legislative Council in Athletic Proposal 2. And lastly, requiring all players to wear neck laceration protection during all CHSAA ice hockey games and practices. In addition to neck laceration protection, the proposed rule recommends that players wear cut-resistant socks, sleeves, or undergarments. The proposed rule also recommends that game officials wear a neck laceration protector. This rule was actually voted on and approved by the NFHS Ice Hockey Committee at their meeting just yesterday, and will become required by the National Federation starting next season. I now move for the adoption of the Ice Hockey Committee report as submitted to the Legislative Council.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Do we have a second? Matt, CSML South. Did my best. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, let's vote on approving the Ice Hockey Committee report as presented. Seconds. Committee report passes 67-0 with 2 abstentions. 68. Buzzer beater. Thank you, Ms. Walker.
All right, thank you, and thank you to the Legislative Council for your work today.
Moving on, CR 21 Boys Lacrosse, Bobby Ecker.
All right, thank you. I'm pretty sure I have the exact same script. This one should go pretty quick. I would first like to thank the Boys Lacrosse Committee for their hard work, dedication throughout the school year, along with the Coaches Association, Officials Association, and Justin Saylor, who all put countless hours for the betterment of student athletes. The major changes for the 23-24 Boys Lacrosse report are as follows. The only major change is to mirror the start and end dates for the 24-26 cycle to those of the 22-24 cycle, which was passed by the Legislative Council Athletic Proposal 3. I now move for the adoption of the Boys Lacrosse Committee as submitted to the Legislative Council.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the Boys Lacrosse Committee report as presented. Second by Kevin, City League. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. Ten seconds. Report passes 69-0. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
CR 22 Girls Lacrosse, Melinda Brown.
Good afternoon. Thanks, everybody. I wanted to first thank the Girls Lacrosse Committee for all their hard work, for Justin, for the Officials Association and the Coaches Association. The only major change was passed with AP3, so we really don't have any other major changes. I now move for the adoption of the Girls Lacrosse Committee report, submit it to the LC.
Thank you. Motion on the floor to adopt as presented. Second by Korn from Southern Peaks. Okay. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, let's vote. 10 seconds. That passes unanimously, 71-0. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
CR 23 skiing. Luke DeWolf is the chairperson, but he's on spring break and decided that was more important than you all. So Bethany is going to present the skiing report committee.
Okay, thank you so much. Just two major changes presented by the ski committee. One is to split the state skiing championships from both a Nordic and Alpine combined state championship. So now there will be an Alpine state championship and a Nordic state championship for both boys and girls. And this is truly to allow, hopefully, additional schools to offer skiing, and it also allows more opportunities for certain schools to win a state championship. Because right now, if a school like Poudre School District only offers Nordic, they would never have the opportunity to win a state championship because they don't have an Alpine team. So we're hoping for more equity with this. And then in addition to that, with the Nordic Teen Championships, they are looking to incorporate a 4-person relay as part of the team scoring for the state championships. And with that being said, I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the ski committee report.
All right, motion on the floor to approve the skiing committee report as presented. Do we have a second? Sean, Foothills League, thank you. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, let's vote. Ten seconds. Report passes 68-0 with 3 abstentions. Thank you. CR 26 Spirit, Jim Porter.
Ready? Okay.
Oh,
President West, thank you for Spirit. We'd like to thank our committee members, obviously, and also the great job that Jen and Audra do with our state championship. We don't have any major changes. The only informational things we have is 2A, 3A POMs will be combined for next year's state competition, and then we will also add game day dance for next year's competition. That's it. Now I have to move something approval, please.
So there's a motion on the floor to approve the Spirit Committee report as presented. Go Fight Win. Do we have a second? Greg, Intermountain League. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, let's vote. Ten seconds. Spirit Committee report passes 69-0. Thank you. CR 29 Track and Field, West Smock.
President West, thank you. I'd also like to thank Jen Roberts and the entire Track and Field Committee for all of their work. At this time, we have several changes for the committee report. Number 1 is the elimination of the sprint medley from the state track meet. And the second is to move the track meet to week 45 instead of week 46. This would place the state track meet prior to Memorial Day. So I would like to move forward for the adoption of the Track and Field Committee report.
So moved. Do we have a second? Travis, right? Or Casby, thank you. Any discussion?
The Western Slope would like to propose that we scratch letter A from the committee report. The discussion that we had was we'd like to keep the sprint medley relay because we don't have enough athletes to complete these relays, but we do have enough athletes to complete the medley relay.
and it's a beloved race that they would like to keep. So I propose that we eliminate A from the committee report.
So we have an amendment proposal on the floor to remove section 1, letter A from the report as presented, which would keep the sprint medley relay at the CHSAA State meet. Do we have a second? Chris, Tri-Peaks League, second discussion.
President West, could I please recognize Kevin Clark from Thompson School District?
Sure, Kevin. I think one quick tap and it should come on.
Kevin Clark, Thompson School District. Appreciate the feel and the thought around participation at the girls' state meet. Looking at that back, I went back the last 2 years to look at 1A and 2A specifically, and nobody, with the exception of one school, had no other qualifiers for the state meet. So when you look at the girls versus the boys, am I getting a weird echo? Yeah. Sorry about the echo. When you look at the difference between the girls and the boys, for the past 25 years, the girls have had an extra event. And the issue is when you look at the NFH rule book, Rule 5-3-1, which had a new note this year. Because of that note, we're actually running the event illegally. It does not fall in compliance with the NFHS rulebook, and because of that, essentially, we are sanctioning an event that is unequitable from the start of the race. This would be like saying, Grandview, you're going to run 100 meters, Smoky Hill, you're going to run 101 meters, Denver Christian, you're going to run 103 meters. It's like that from the start. I don't know why we're going to continue to offer an event that isn't equitable from the start. This would be like saying the three-point line is 1 inch closer, 3 feet closer for another team. It's just not equitable. It's not in the rules. USATF, NCAA, and the Olympics do not sanction it for this reason.
Thank you, Kevin. Any further discussion on the proposed amendment? Hearing none, let's vote on the proposed amendment, which would keep the sprint medley relay at the CHSAA State meet. A vote of yes means you want to keep the event at the state meet. A vote of no means we will proceed with the committee report as presented. Okay, so that proposed amendment fails. We're now back to the original question on the floor, which has been seconded to approve the track and field report, committee report as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and vote on approval of the track and field committee report as presented. Ten seconds. That report passes 63-5. Thank you, Wes. Last but not least, CR 32 Wrestling, Travis Steiner.
Thank you, President West. First off, I'd like to thank John, Sandy, and the wrestling committee for all of their diligent and outstanding work to put on the sport of wrestling this year. We do have a few changes from last year's report. The first one deals with regional seating criteria. Criteria 3 was changed to winning percentage that's listed in track wrestling We just needed to make that clarification that it is what is actually recorded in track wrestling. That's what we'll be using. We did remove criteria F, or sorry, the tiebreaker, which is the coach's vote. Previously, we had seating meetings where coaches were all together, and if there was a tie for a seed, then they would do a coin flip. That doesn't occur anymore, so that's just an outdated piece that we're taking out. In B, the state seating tiebreaker, the first criteria will be individual returning cumulative state placing points. This matches what we do for our regional seating, so that puts both of those in line. We've added 2 classifications for girls wrestling. That was approved at the clock committee report in January. And each of those will have 4 regions qualifying the top 4 for 16-person brackets at the state tournament. And then letter D is reverting back to our seeding process for regionals that we've had previously. This affects the bottom 8 wrestlers in the bracket and will maintain their seed order instead of randomly placing them on the bracket. So this reverts back to the process we've had previously. Also, 2 informational items that I want to note. One, if you haven't heard yet, due to NHL scheduling, Ball Arena is not available on our normally scheduled date this next year. So we will be moving the state tournament up by 1 week. That does shorten the wrestling season by 1 week. Regionals will be a week earlier. This is a temporary situation due to the NHL scheduling and the availability of Ball Arena. We will go back to our normal format once we are able to get Ball Arena when there's not a conflict. Also, we've been in the process of discussing adding a dual team state championship. So the criteria is being worked out on that, and when we have something formally to propose, we will, but that is something that we are working on adding here in the near future. With that, I would move for the amendment of the wrestling report as presented.
So moved. Thank you, Travis. Do we have a second? Greg, Intermountain League. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, let's vote on approval of the wrestling committee report as presented. I 10 seconds.
Hold on, I got to vote. Now we're good.
You're the guy that's been holding out the entire time.
Just this one.
That
Well,
guy.
I was the close call earlier too, but that's because I was
Committee
prepping for this.
report passes 69-2. Thank you, Travis.
Thank you to Legislative Council. Thank you, President West.
2 quick housekeeping things before we go. First of all, I want to recognize at this time Sean Terry, who will be leaving the Board of Directors at the end of this year. He's accepted a new position as athletic director at Stanley Lake High School, which is going to force him to change districts as far as representation goes. So his former district will be meeting soon to recommend his replacement. But Sean, I want to thank you for all of your hard work that you've done over the past several years on the Board of Directors. I mean, first and foremost, I don't know if there's been a bigger advocate on the committee for the shot clock. And so thank you for all of your work. Thank you for all of your time and dedication to the Board of Directors. Speaking of board members, at this time, one last thing that we need to vote on would be the nomination of Joe Brown, Athletic Director at Niwot High School, to represent District 2. Joe formerly served on the board for a short time when he was Athletic Director at North Glen High School, then changing leagues, change of Athletic Director there. Now he's representing a different league, but in the same district, so we need a nomination. Joe's already been nominated, so District 2 schools need to vote. Only District 2 schools? Leagues? Only the leagues in District 2 need to vote at this time. I was having a pretty good day till I screwed that last one up there. But at this time, if all the league members of District 2 would please vote on the approval of Joe Brown as District 2 rep on the Board of Directors. Only District 2. They must like you, Joe. That passes, Joe, officially. Welcome to the board. Just closing today, thank you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. This was a kind of a long morning and compared to what we did in January, but we did some great work today. Definitely moving forward and putting the needs of our kids first. Thank you all. Thank you all for the thoughtful discussion, for your homework, for your collegiality, your camaraderie, and making sure that the voice, the true voice of all of our member schools are heard through this body. Thank you guys for all your work. At this time, we have lunch available. We're buying lunch for all of the voting members of Legislative Council, the committee chairs, the board of directors, as well as the CHSAA staff. You will need, it's like I'm back in elementary school, you need your lunch ticket. You're going to enter through the door where that fine young lady is standing holding up her lunch ticket there. You will go through the lunch line. You'll come out at the far end, and then you're welcome to sit in here and enjoy your lunch. So, at this time, we